This is Reporter Room with Jessica Della Davies.
We have previously unseen footage that changes the timeline. It doesn't just add to the timeline, it completely rewrites it. We have footage from TMZ proving that Celeste was home after April of 2024 when she was reported missing, when we all believed that she had disappeared for that final time. We're also going to discuss ongoing concerns about the LAPD and the information that they gave us yesterday. Some people are very concerned that the LAPD is not being aggressive as they need to be in this case. We're going to talk about that. Steve Fisher has spoken out, and we're going to talk about that as well. So SF Investigates Steve Fisher went on Ashleigh Banfield and is concerned that the LAPD seems to be backing off the idea that this is a red rum, I'm watching my words, investigation. I hope that that's not the case. Celeste was 12, 13, or 14. She was not in an age to consent. Law enforcement characterized it as a relationship, but it couldn't have been, really a relationship because she wasn't of the age to consent to be in any type of relationship with David. He was a grown man and she was 12, 13, 14 years old. We're also going to talk about the fact that Celeste was put in the trunk, and under California law, this would only be considered a misdemeanor, which is raising alarms for a lot of people. What does California law allow as far as an adult male having a relationship with a 12, 13, or 14-year-old? And is that going to be swept under the rug? A lot of people are worried. So we're going to talk about the ongoing concerns about the LAPD not investigating this case as well as they could be. We're going to talk about a new video that changes the timeline of Celeste's disappearance. We're going to talk about Celeste's ex-boyfriend. He has come forward, and what he has to say is absolutely heartbreaking. And we're also going to look at a viral clip of David when a girl that looks like Celeste comes forward. I want to get your opinion on it. Everything I'm sharing with you is my opinion. This video is for educational purposes only. If you haven't subscribed, it's free. I do need your support. It lets YouTube know that I'm doing a good job covering this case. Subscribing is free. Giving it a thumbs up is free. Please give it a thumbs up. And if you're watching at home, please hop onto your phone or laptop and come on up into the top chat and talk to me. So this video is for adults only. Viewer discretion is advised. So come on in and tell me where you're from. You can tell me what city, what country, what state. And we're going to also talk about the ongoing concerns that you guys have, and also many other people have too, about the LAPD not investigating this hard enough. So one thing I didn't catch but I did catch when I rewatched the live stream that I did yesterday, which is that the captain that spoke out yesterday on the behalf of the LAPD said that he was, quote, aware of the relationship between David and Celeste. And I did say yesterday that I did like the fact that he was at least saying that he was aware of it, and also had considered called it a relationship, which tells me that they're not sweeping that part of it under the rug. At least I hope not. But I do want to just point out that this couldn't have been considered a consensual relationship under the law, because Celeste was not of an age to be able to consent to having a relationship with David. She was a runaway. She was reportedly back and forth. A lot of people have concerns about the family, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to address those today. And then we have this clip of this verbal disagreement that is reported to be Celeste. I do have a brighter version of it, so we'll look at that together. I do believe it's her. And so the family was seeing her after she was reported missing. Now, we have heard that she had been coming and going from the house where she was living with her parents. So, a lot of you guys have been adamant that you think that David somehow was paying off people to help him have access to Celeste. I have not seen evidence of this. And I'm concerned that I don't want to, the family's already lost their daughter. I don't want to go after the family. But I do think that it would be helpful for them to come out and say definitively, maybe her brother could put out a statement one way or another of when was the last time the family had actually seen Celeste in person? And then when was the last time they had actual contact with Celeste? And if so, what kind of contact was it? Was it a telephone call? Was it a text message? Was it a FaceTime? What kind of contact with it? I certainly, this video certainly does change the timeline of when she disappeared. Now, we knew she had run away and come back and run away and come back. So maybe this was just something she came back, and this video is from around the time of her birthday. It's one day after her 14th birthday. So it could be that she came home for her birthday and then left again. But this is the disturbing case of and downfall of singer David, a rising pop star, and the tragic demise of a 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. So let's talk about this case. And I'm just curious what you guys think about this. Are you watching closely? So let's discuss the viral clip of David when a girl looks like Celeste comes forward, and then we're going to look at the new video that changes the timeline of Celeste's disappearance in an interview where Celeste's ex-boyfriend speaks out. So we're going to do that, but let's look at this video first. Let me take this down. Oh, I want to play this. Let me play this first. I want to play this interview. Let's start with this. Okay. Let me move myself out of the way here. All right. So this is Steve Fisher. He appeared on Ashleigh Banfield yesterday. And I just do want to play a little snippet of this.
To be her boyfriend. It has been assumed and sleuthed and now officially confirmed by police that the body had been in that trunk for several weeks before that. But now police are also saying that until and unless they determine how Celeste Rivas Hernandez actually died.
And I just want to do a sound check before I play the full video. Can you guys hear the video? Okay. Yes, or just a quick yes or no. I don't want to play the whole video and then find out you guys could not hear it. This is an interview with SF Investigates, the private investigator who received the email from the manager, Josh Marshall. And so this is his latest interview. And Enjaz, thank you so much. This is our head mod. Enjaz, she says you can hear it. And this is our other head mod, brother Mike. I did give out a couple of other wrenches. If you're interested in modding, after the live stream is over, drop me a comment below and I will add you as a mod.
They will not know whether she's a homicide victim or an accident victim, or maybe even took her own life. In a statement to NewsNation, the LAPD captain overseeing the investigation said the following, quote, "It remains unclear whether there is any criminal culpability beyond the concealment of her body." Wow. Which is all the more interesting when you remember the LA police chief indicated that this was a homicide.
And that is really disturbing. I agree. That is really, really disturbing. And a lot of people are really concerned if this case is being investigated properly.
Like last week, this was a homicide investigation. He did it in a TV interview. Keep in mind also that the medical examiner doesn't even have Celeste's remains anymore. Those were given back to her family also last week. My next guest is a private investigator specializing in missing persons who's been looking into the mystery of Celeste's death. Steve Fisher, welcome back to the show. Let's just dig right into that.
So this is the private investigator that got the email from manager Josh Marshall, and which Josh Marshall denies receiving. But he went on Ashleigh Banfield on NewsNation last night. This is SF Investigates, Steve Fisher. Let's listen in.
Last week, we've got the chief of police, Jim McDonough, saying, whenever you investigate a homicide, you look at all the associated issues as well. And that's something they'd certainly be looking at when asked about this case. That I perked up. There he was talking about a homicide and the associated issues. Now we're hearing from his LAPD captain. It remains unclear whether there's any criminal culpability beyond the concealment of her body. How does this square with you? Is this a misstatement? Are they, one hand's not talking to the other?
Well, two wildly different statements, right? I think that maybe what the chief was saying is that all these, cases when you got a deceased body, that's not an obvious The reason why is investigated as a homicide, and then it could be determined later not to be. But the statement about if there's any criminal culpability, maybe just the concealment of the body, that's a misdemeanor in California. That's something that has a $1,000 fine.
And that is not going to be good enough for most of us who have been following this case. The idea that he could walk away with a $1,000 fine is absolutely outrageous, absolutely outrageous. And so it could be that they, weren't able to determine with 100% certainty that she was done away with the ME. It could be that they have a rumor that there was, some type of medication involved with this. But again, who supplied her with this? They need to be held accountable because she was only 14. Let's listen in. I'm outraged, you guys. I'm almost in tears. I'm so upset.
And $1,000 to $10,000 fine and up to a year in jail, but somebody without a record will get probation. We're talking about, a minimal charge considering what we were thinking. And I was really, really, really disappointed to see that there wasn't any mention when they talked about the criminal culpability of any harboring, trafficking, sex crimes against an 11 to 14-year-old girl.
Exactly. Sometimes what people don't say is just as important as what they do say. But this is really disturbing, you guys. And the idea that he could walk away with a $1,000 fine and that's it. Maybe this is why he's not canceling his concert tour in Australia. Maybe he's thinking this will all be done and dusted and he can go back to the way things were before.
It's like they're not even looking at it. I know that there was a statement that looking at all the relationship, but when it came to the criminal part, it did not bring that up. And that's just horrible as far as I'm concerned. That's the worst part.
Or maybe he's just waiting for David to talk to someone, and there it is. There's the evidence. He's mentioned it himself. He thought he was in the clear. We gave him a long leash, and he hung himself with it. Yeah. Maybe that's what they're doing. I don't know. Quick question though about the pregnancy. That was huge to me. When they said that she was not pregnant, nor had she been pregnant for a year, it was huge to me. Do you think it complicates anything, or do you think it just rules that part out?
I think it's actually a good sign for the rest of the autopsy, because if they were able to determine that means that they probably did so through HCG hormone tests, which they got from probably the vitreous humor gel.
And for those of you that, haven't been with me, I've explained a couple of times, the vitreous humor is the eye. They'll go in and they'll be able to extract enough to get a tox screen from the vitreous humor of the eye.
That's behind the eyeball. So that means that they will also be able to get full toxicology. She wasn't in such a state where they lost that. So if they were able to make this determination about pregnancy, then they can also get the toxicology and find out exactly what was in her system, how much, what levels, and from there can determine if that's, accidental or if there was something nefarious, and also what it is, because there are, if it's fentanyl and somebody gave her that fentanyl, then they can be held responsible. That is a criminal act.
Yeah. I mean, if there is toxicology, and we saw this in the Kylie Rodney case where, this 15-year-old was given, unbelievable amounts of alcohol while she was attending a party, and no one was ever arrested or charged for doing that, for supplying it. She was intoxicated and she drove herself into the lake. But there were people over 18 at the party who supplied, and it's 21 for those of you that live outside the United States. That age limit in the United States for getting alcohol, for being able to purchase it and supposed to ingesting it, is 21. So who was supplying Kylie Rodney? And in California, in Truckee, California, this was another California case, no one was ever held accountable for that. And so in this case, even if her tox screen comes back and there was medications, she didn't have a prescription for, and I'm watching my words here, that's still, somebody needs to be held accountable for that, because as a 14-year-old, she would not be able to just access that on her own. She wouldn't have the resources. She didn't have a job. She was only 14. So who supplied her with this, if that is the case? And the idea that David could walk away with a $1,000 fine and just resume his career, and everybody's like, oh, well, too bad. We didn't look for her when she was missing, even though she had gone to David's house before. We didn't go back to try to get her again. We didn't do anything. And then too bad, so sad, you know, it was a medication issue. Let me just ask you guys, is that going to be good enough for you? Yes or no? Because it's not good enough for me. It wasn't good enough in the Kylie Rodney case. I do, and I will always believe that somebody should have been held accountable for supplying a minor with alcohol. Nobody ever was. And in this case, same thing.
That's a good point. That's a great point. Thanks for bringing that up. It makes a big difference. Steve Fisher, thank you so much. Good to have you on the show again.
So that is Steve Fisher. For those of you that didn't know who he was, what kind of role he had in this. So I did want to play that, one, so you would know who he is, but two, just to talk about, just how upsetting it is that these, I've covered cases like this before where people that should have been held accountable were simply not held accountable. And Kylie Rodney is a great example of that. So let's see what you guys say about that. I'm hearing no. Nobody's saying that this is okay. No. Okay. So I'm glad I'm not alone in this, because that really disturbed me. That really, really bothered me. All right, let's go ahead. I want to look at this viral clip that's been going around that's on X. Let me pull that up next. I'm just grabbing it, you guys. There it is. It just didn't come. Okay. So this is from Net Klips on X, if you want to give him a follow. So we have David here. He's in the glasses with his hat. And he's there at a meet and greet, right? And then this young girl comes up. She has wavy hair, kind of like Celeste, a similar build, slim, probably young. I told you guys I thought his fans were very, very young. And then she comes up on this meet and greet. And so a lot of people feel like he looks startled. And that's what he looks like when she comes up, that, he does. Now, it could be just that she's his type. But, what a lot of people are wondering, and I'm curious what you guys think about this. A lot of people are wondering if, for a second, he thought it was Celeste. Now, it could have been something on the front of her shirt that caught his eye, too. He doesn't seem interested once he realizes it is not her. But it is kind of interesting. This is going viral. I just thought I would share it with you. I do think it's interesting that he's looking. So it doesn't mean, anything. It could be nothing. I'm just curious what you guys think about this. In fact, let's do a poll on this. If you think David is reacting to this female because she reminds him of a Celeste, put a 1 in the chat. If you think David's reacting because of, maybe there's something on her t-shirt that he likes, and that it's just a nothing burger, and people are making a lot to do about nothing, because people are saying that his shoulders lock, his jaw tightens the moment that he sees this girl, and others suggest that he avoided direct eye contact and abruptly shifted his posture once he realized it wasn't Celeste. But if you think it's just more of a nothing burger and it was just maybe something on her shirt, or maybe he just liked her, put a 2 in the chat. I'm just really curious what you guys think about this clip, and I'll just let it play here for a second. And it is not Celeste, to be clear. But you can see him. Let me move myself down here. You can see him looking. So I'm just curious if you think it is just a coincidence. Maybe he's just, there's something on the front of his shirt that caught his eye, and that's all it is. But she does have a similar build. She has the curly hair. She, looks, has the same dark brown hair. So, once he realizes it's not her, the eye contact shifts and he just seems disinterested. But again, it could be that he was just looking at something on her shirt. It caught his attention. it, whatever it was, he looked at it, he took it in. It could just be a nothing burger. I'm just curious what you guys think. Chelsea put a 1. Oop. Michael 1, 1, 1. All right, so we got some 1s. And NJAZ is letting you know I have an email address. If you have tips for me, and I did get sent this in a tip yesterday. You can email me at tips and the number 4 just at Jessica, tips4jessica@outlook.com. That's tips, the number 4 Jessica for outlook.com. And Deanne says, it seems as though mom couldn't get her daughter under control. That's sad. She was too young to be running the streets. Yeah. Veronica said, maybe the guy there is telling him what he has to do, and people buy these VIP tickets, which means you can get to go backstage and meet the performer. Deanna thinks it looks like he's seen a ghost. Lulu thinks it looks like he's seen a ghost. And Josh says, David is only 5'3". He looks really small there. Michael said, oh, please like, share, and subscribe. Yeah, please do that. It lets the algorithm know. Lou says, I think she was showing him something on her shirt. All right, so that's very, just something I wanted to go through. It's not that big of a deal. I am going to pull this up next. Let's talk about this viral video. This new video, I'm sorry, this is not viral, but this is like, changing the internet. It's, and this is body cam footage that is purported to be taken at a neighbor of Celeste's house. Okay. Celeste's neighbor. And then we're going to talk about the boyfriend that is speaking out next. After that, I'm going to show you her middle school boyfriend. But this is surveillance footage that shows Celeste Rivas Hernandez arguing with parents of neighbors. So not her parents, but neighbors, months after she was filed missing. So a lot of, remember that missing poster is dated April 4th of 2024, when she would have been 13 years old. This video footage, which was unearthed by TMZ, shows her at a neighbor's house on September 8th, so one day after her 14th birthday, exactly 1 year to the day before she was discovered in the trunk of David's Tesla. Now, the video was recorded by a Nest camera months after she was reported missing. So she was reported missing April 4th of 2024, but here we have her at a neighbor's house September 8th of 2024. And she did go over to, she was with her parents. So is this just a older missing poster that people grabbed onto and saw the date, and this is how it got reported out to be April 4th? Because I do think it would be really helpful at this point if her family, maybe her brother could do this, would put out a statement and just say the last time that they actually saw her in person, and then the last time that they heard from her and how they heard from her. Was it a FaceTime? Was it a text message? Was it a voicemail? Was it a phone conversation? When was the last time they, heard from her? So the publication reports, that's TMZ, that Celeste was really upset with the next door neighbor's family over a prank. And in the clip, you can see the neighbors sitting outside their apartment building. They're listening to music, which is why I don't have the audio playing. And then Celeste starts yelling. She's accusing one of the kids of playing ding dong ditch at her parents' door, on her parents' door. And she's, cursing, and she's using inappropriate slurs, which is another reason I'm not going to play it. One of the men in the video, one of the neighbors yells back, asking her to stop with the slur. And then following the incident, the neighbors, one of them went over to Celeste's house and actually apologized, and Celeste's dad answered the door. So they knew, she was at the neighbors, and reportedly seemed unbothered by all of it. So again, he wasn't shocked that Celeste was at the neighbors. So this isn't an incident where Celeste was at the neighbor's house and the family didn't know. This is an incident where the family, didn't appear to be surprised that she was home. So what I'm wondering is if she came home for her birthday and then ran away again, and maybe the date of April 4th that was reported out of 2024 of her disappearing was from the missing recent missing flyer poster, but that she had come home, in between there and maybe ran away. Again, we have heard that she ran away multiple times. Now, following the incident, the neighbor's boyfriend reportedly went over to apologize. And when Celeste's dad opened the door, he was reportedly not bothered at all. The neighbors claimed they remembered seeing Celeste's family walking around with missing posters months before. But then when they saw her in September of 2024, they assumed that she was found and everything was fine. So it seems like Celeste may have returned for her 14th birthday, which again calls into question the timeline. It just really does flip the timeline on its head. So if she was home for her 14th birthday, when did she return back to the house? When did she return back? So let me just play this one more time. I can't play the audio because of music. I don't have the copyright for it. And also there's some really inappropriate language, but I'll just play it. It's absolutely a screaming match. What I will do is I'll link it for you in the description below so that you guys don't have to go looking for this. You guys can just click on it and play it. But you can see the TMZ's blurred out all of the faces. They blurred out, but this right here is reported to be Celeste right there with the arrow. You can see her right there. This is reported to be Celeste right here. And it does look like her. And this is a brighter version of the clip because the one I originally had was really, really dark. So this has been brightened up so you can see it. And TMZ is reporting that they have confirmed that this is Celeste in this video. And, she's upset. She's upset. I guess somebody was ringing the doorbell and she didn't like it. They were playing some kind of a game. She didn't like it. It was bothering her. And there's just a huge shouting match that went on during this. So this is the brighter version right here that you can see. You can see it a little bit better. Obviously, the neighbors' faces are blurred out. So we don't, because I don't want to drag anybody else into this. But it, reportedly is Celeste on the video, according to TMZ. They have said that they have been able to identify and confirm that this was Celeste. So this flips the whole timeline and everything that we thought we knew about this case on its head, because she didn't disappear when she was 13. She sounds like she ran away again when she was 14. So I think that's really interesting also. So let's talk about Celeste's boyfriend, because our ex-boyfriend, he has come forward. And let me pull this up, make sure I'm not in the way of you guys being able to see it. Okay. Let me grab a sip of water too. So this is her ex-boyfriend that came forward to speak, and he spoke out to TMZ, and he says that she joked about running away from her troubled home. I'll show you a picture of this is Celeste when she was that age, and then this is the boyfriend. And maybe people will say, well, it doesn't matter, he was a middle school. Whoa.
How did you meet Celeste?
Okay, so this is the video. I just want to play it with the caveat. So this is the boyfriend.
Through a friend.
Tell me how that whole relationship started.
I guess she liked me, or she was looking for someone, and yeah, we started talking.
And
so when you see how young Damien is, and he's a year older than Celeste, just think about that in terms of how young Celeste was to be with the pop singer David. So just, this was her middle school boyfriend because Celeste was in middle school.
What school was this in?
Lakeland Village.
Was she sweet? Was she kind? Was she bubbly? What do you remember about her?
She was really kind, and she said she wanted something serious.
And how old were you when you met her?
13 or 14.
So at what point did you feel, or did you hear from Celeste that there were problems at home?
She said how her mom didn't treat her well or whatever, and she didn't like where she was at.
Did she talk at all about her relationship with her parents?
Kind of. She just said they were mean or whatever. She didn't like them.
And then you guys broke up, and the next thing you know, you find out that she's involved with this internet sensation, David.
Yeah, I didn't think it was gonna happen, like at all, because like she was always like so happy and stuff.
What is your last memory that you have of Celeste?
We were at PE, and she told me, my friend, that she was running away.
So she was telling people that she was going to run away. I'm going to play the rest of this. So this is 15-year-old Damon Hernandez in an exclusive interview with TMZ, and his mom, whose name is Jamie, and he's talking about his relationship with Celeste at Lake Elsinore Middle School. Celeste was in 7th grade and Damien was in 8th grade. Let's listen in.
And she said it was because of her parents, and she was like joking about it, and she was like happy, like joking like she always was, and like it didn't seem real because like she was like playing around, joking about it, and the next day she wasn't at school, and like that's the last time I saw her.
So she was talking about running away, and then she just didn't turn up for school. So when you see how young Damien is, you can get an idea of how young Celeste was, because he's a year older than Celeste, and this was just this interview was just released in the last 24 hours. So, you know, she was younger than he is now, 2 years younger than he is now, when she was found in the, when she was put in the trunk.
Did it break your heart that you were not going to be with her, or did you feel upset about losing the relationship?
Not really. It was kind of clear that we're like better as friends, but it was kind of sad that I wasn't able to like say goodbye, but like see how she was doing, like when she ran away.
What was your reaction when you saw the breaking news that they had found your ex-girlfriend's body in the trunk of his car?
My heart dropped. I was like, I don't know. I just couldn't believe it. I kind of had a feeling when I saw like the first thing. I was like, what if it is her? But I just like brushed it off. But when I saw it really was her, I was like, damn, I really knew.
So denial is really powerful. And you can see he's sitting here next to his mom. You can see how young he is. And he was a year older than Celeste. He was in 8th grade. She was in 7th grade when they were boyfriend and girlfriend. This is the age that she should have been dating. This is who, the type of boy she should have been in school. She should have been with her family. She should have been in love with a boy her own age.
So let me just make sure I'm understanding this correctly. You had seen the news out of Los Angeles that a body was found in his car.
Yeah.
And you immediately had a sinister thought about Celeste?
Yeah, because one of my friends told me.
Were you at home with your mom when they identified Celeste and you saw it all over the news? Can you remember that moment for us?
Yeah, I was on the way to school, and then like she just like showed me, and like I took a picture of it and I sent it to one of my friends, and he's like, yeah, I saw it too, it's crazy, and I just couldn't believe it.
So this has been the talk of the school?
Yeah.
Just the fact it was someone that my son was so close to at one time, and how everything happened. It's kind of scary. It's really close to home.
It is really scary. And the fact that she kept running away, and they, that this email was allegedly, reportedly, according to SF Investigate, Steve Fisher. And that's why I wanted to show you who Steve Fisher was, just because to put a face with the name, I think is always helpful. If you're just joining me, back up the chat, because I've been going through a lot of stuff. But according to him, Celeste sometimes spoke of running away, not as a dramatic escape, but he thought it was more of like a frustrated fantasy. He said that her mother made her unhappy. He also said that, when he met Celeste, she said she was looking for something serious, and he described her as kind. He said her troubled home made her unhappy. So this is confirming what some of you guys thought, that maybe she was running away from home because there were things going on in the house. Now, it's not, I just want to put a caveat on this. It's not that uncommon for a teen in this age group to have angst or disagreement or frustration with their parents. Part of being able to grow up is being able to disengage from the enmeshed relationship that you have when you're littler with your parent, so that as a teenager, Celeste could have learned to stand up on her own. So that part of it is pretty normal. If you ever were a middle schooler, you might remember feeling frustrated or angry. So I just want to put what Damien's saying in that context. But he said that, he talked about that her mom did not treat her well. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. And he said that she talked about running away from school, even joked about it. And then one day she was just gone. Let's listen into the rest of this interview. So this is Damien. He was 13 when he was in 8th grade when Celeste was 12. So this was her 12-year-old boyfriend. And he's here with his mom, Jamie.
And if it could happen to her, it could happen to anyone. And everyone just needs to be very careful on social media.
What about you? What do you think about at night when this kind of flashes through your mind?
I just think, like, if someone actually, did something, like when she said she was going to run away, because I feel like no one cared.
So I do think that that's, really, really interesting. And, his revelations have been really, really compelling. A lot of people are very surprised. The fact that, they do also, I think he does humanize Celeste, not just as a victim found in the trunk of a Tesla, but as someone who was, going through teenage angst and having, difficulties with her family and had emotional pain and had emotional feelings. I also think this gives us a more well-rounded, but it also really puts into perspective the age that was appropriate for Celeste, because this boy, Damien, is 1 year older than Celeste. And this is what he looks like today. And Celeste would have been a year younger than him. So the narrative, I hope, replaced this kind of abstract picture that we have of Celeste with this, but it also does, raise a lot of questions. Was there more to her disappearance? When did she run away? And Damien said he did hear about her alleged relationship. Well, the police have characterized it as a relationship. But in my opinion, relationship with singer David. But he was surprised because he did think she was happy outside of her home life. So this story is still unfolding. We do know that, it's really sad. A young girl has lost her life. Her family is grieving it, which is why I don't want to just take comments that he's making, because I would like to put it in some type of perspective. But some of you guys have felt like maybe she was, running away from the family. And I thought maybe she was just running to David, that she was being lured away to be with David. And, he could have also been stirring the pot with some, what would be normal teenage angst and, making it bigger than it is. I don't know. That's just, pure speculation on my part. But once the news broke about Celeste being found in the trunk of the Tesla on September 8th, Damien recalls feeling shocked. He was sad. He regretted never getting to say goodbye to his former girlfriend and his friend, Celeste. He summed it up this way, like, no one cared. I don't know. I should have done something. So I do think that that's really sad. And combined with the video resurfacing, and as I've shared with you guys, we are going to need to keep our minds open to new information, because I do believe that we're going to continue to have new information in this case come to light. So let me go ahead and let me move myself over. Okay. I'm curious what you guys think about that. Yeah, egging her on. That's a good way to put it, Susan. Thank you so much for modding today. Yeah, egging her on. Was she being egged on by him, by him just, kind of taking something where she was already complaining and a little bit upset, but then just, ginning it up, making it all worse. I'm not saying he did this. I don't know. I wasn't there. But, definitely if he wanted Celeste to come and live with him and be with him, but it does seem like she did have some disagreements, with her family. But again, at that age, is that unusual? I don't know. Tinfoil Tigress says, yes, I see it as a teenager being a teenager. That's what I think too. Veronica said, I meant to say she didn't like them, her parents. Okay. Let me back up the comments a little bit. Let's take some of your comments. I want to hear what you guys have to say about this. If you're just watching, please come on up and talk to me. I do want to know what you guys think. Michael said, and that friend had long hair before. It is sad. So is this David? Yeah, this is David. And for those of you that are not familiar with this case, I have a playlist on this case with multiple videos. And so I do want to put up a picture of Celeste. There, let's put that one up. That's one of my favorite pictures of her. But when you see how young the middle school boyfriend is, I think it does. And if you're just joining me, just back up the chat a few minutes and watch his interview. But if you see how young he is, how young Damien is, and he was a year older than Celeste, and they dated when she was in 7th grade. So when she was 12 and he was in 8th grade and he was 13, and she told him she wanted something serious, you guys. So that's really, really sad. And just it's not him on the screen. He's Celeste's ex-boyfriend. Yeah. The young boy that you just saw is Celeste Celeste's ex-boyfriend, David, who was the one where she was found in the trunk of his car. Let me just show you who that is. This is David. So let's continue on here. Chelsea said, I can't imagine being a teen and finding out that happened to your ex. Yeah, I would imagine that this would have been really traumatizing for him. And the idea that, somebody could get somebody that and put them in the trunk of the car is really upsetting too. You're right, Chelsea. Okay, he seems so sweet. Yeah, he is sweet. Michael's asking you to please like and subscribe. It does help me with the algorithm. It lets YouTube know to push it out. It lets them know I'm doing a responsible job covering this case. I'm not clickbaiting you. I'm not sensationalizing. I'm just trying to methodically go through the information. I do want to thank NJAS so much for gifting a channel membership. If you got that membership, please make sure you say thank you to NJAS. And thank you to NJAS for gifting another Reporter Room membership. If you received that membership, please make sure you say thank you to NJAS. That is so kind of you, NJAS. Thank you so, so much. All right, I want to take a couple of comments and see what you guys are thinking about this. If you're watching at home, log onto your phone and come on up and talk to me. Hey, Bushi. Chelsea said, I'm a mom. My son is 12, and I can't imagine something like this happening. No, I know. And that's why I am urging caution when it comes to Celeste's family. Just because she had angst and expressed that, she was frustrated with her parents, that's pretty typical for 12 years old, 13 years old. That's like not unusual at that age. That is a normal teenager trying to differentiate themselves from and separate from their parents, because ultimately the idea is that they leave and go off to college or go off to a career or go off and get married. But, ultimately we do want them to leave the nest. Tinfoil Tiger says she thinks that TMZ is trying to paint Celeste in a bad light. I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, I don't see this as seeing Celeste in a bad light. I don't see Celeste in a bad light. Let me just say that. This information didn't change my mind on how I feel about Celeste. Let me know if you have a different feeling about it, but I don't change my mind at all. I think Celeste was a typical 12-year-old, typical 13-year-old, typical 14-year-old, teen having some angst with her parents and having, just normal stuff for middle school. But I think showing the boyfriend does bring home how young Celeste was. When you see how young he is now, and remembering that he's a year older than Celeste. So Celeste would have been turning 15. He's 16. That's the age but instead she's with this grown man in his trunk of his car and reportedly having a relationship with a grown man. It just isn't an appropriate relationship for that age. And that's why I'm just so upset at the idea that he could get off with a $1,000. And you guys are going to help bring pressure to this case. I do want to empower each and every one of you by continuing to share information about Celeste on social media, by continuing to look for connections. If you haven't seen my videos on the connections between Celeste and pop singer David, who was a fully grown adult when she was found in the trunk of his Tesla, I mean, keep speaking out, keep advocating. What I don't want to happen is what happened in the Kylie Rodney case, where they just said, well, she was found in the lake, and nobody, even though she was intoxicated and she was 15, so there's no way she could have gotten that on her, alcohol on her own. Nobody was held accountable for that. It was just like, oh, well, case is closed. And, a lot of us were really, really frustrated. And this happened in Truckee, California, also California. So I just think that we, need to just keep the pressure up, and by, doing the live streams and you guys being here helps raise a focus and awareness for Celeste, and, and asking the hard questions. If she was repeatedly running away, what was really going on, if law enforcement's, now backing off and saying they're not investigating this, as a red rum case, why? If, I feel like, as a public, we have a right to understand why that's happened. Now, maybe they just, didn't mention it because they had already mentioned it. And, we're just all nervous because of what happened in the Kylie Rodney case and what we've seen happen in so many other cases, where people just aren't held accountable. But the idea that David could just walk away with a $1,000 fine and then just skate on to his Australian tour, has a lot of people upset. And I feel upset at the idea, but it is very sad. You're right. And this is our head mod, NJazz, Boo Sheets. And just says, yeah, she's only a child. That's right. Veronica said, maybe her parents were trying to reel her in. I'm just guessing. Yeah, and it may be they didn't want her dating at 12. Right. So maybe, they got her to come home for a little bit. And then the problem is that she just, left again. And I think that's what's so concerning about all of this. Yeah. Was he egging her on? Was David, causing more angst, or was he supporting her to go home? And, sadly, Celeste isn't here to speak for herself. She isn't here to say, yeah, I was upset with my parents, but they never, they didn't do anything to me. I was just, upset. I wanted to have a serious boyfriend. They didn't want me to date, something like that. She's not here to tell us. So we're going to have to keep our minds open for new information, try to take it the way that we take it. And I agree with you, Tinfoil Tigers. All I see too, I agree with this 100%. All I see is a teenager simply being a teenager. Thank you for modding today, Susan, NJazz, and Michael. NJazz was modding almost by herself yesterday. So if you would like to be a mod, I am going to be adding some different mods. I did give away a couple of wrenches today, but if you would like to be a mod, please let me know, and I will drop me a comment after this live stream is over, and I will give you a wrench. Lulu said, this case is very, very sad. Tinfoil Tiger says, heartbreaking. At least David is a predator, in her opinion. Michael said, Jessica, thank you, Michael. That's really kind of you. Thank you for the thumbs up, Beth. Susan says, we love our Jessica. Please tap the thumbs up button. Tinfoil Tiger says, I don't know, y'all. I have such a bad feeling that he will get away with this. I think we're all scared of that. We're all really, really terrified that he's going to, and I saw SF Investigates face and Ashleigh Banfield's face too. The idea that he could just get away with this because he's a, famous rising pop star. And we've seen this story play out so many times. And I think that's where, keeping up the pressure. And you guys are doing that. You guys are doing that. I'm going to continue to stay on this case. I'm streaming again on this case tomorrow at 6. If there's any breaking news, I'll go earlier, but I'm staying on this case because I want justice for this precious little girl. TM said, oh gosh, thanks for the gifted channel membership. That is NJazz that gave you that. So thank you so much, NJazz. Hello. Tinfoil Tigress says, NJazz, the fact that yeah, I agree. Watch what words you use. The G word, I have to delete it. I'm so sorry. I do apologize, but that word, I can't have that in the chat. That will make it so that please don't use that word. Find another way to say it. So it's not personal. Please know that. D says all teens hate their parents at this age. Thank you for modding today, D. I just gave you a wrench today. Thank you so much for modding. I've just seen you consistently showing up, so I'm grateful for that. That's really typical. 8th grade, they're all complaining. I mean, think back to when you were like 7th grade, 8th grade. We were sitting around complaining about our parents. We were talking about boys, but we were getting some autonomy. That's one of the stages of life is autonomy, becoming more autonomous and being able to break away. And part of the way that teenagers do that is by getting angry and upset with their parents. So that's why I'm saying, let's take this with a grain of salt. Have you seen the new TMZ video? I just played it. I did play it. Thank you for asking. And some of you guys emailed it to me last night, which was just so helpful to know that was coming up. I've seen some of that too. Not good. Susan said that poor child isn't responsible for any of it. Her brain wasn't developed yet. No, you're right. Absolutely. So true, Susan. You're absolutely right. Tinfoil Tiger says, yep, I remember hating my mom so bad at that age because she was super strict. Yeah, I remember having that angst too of just feeling, rebellious. I remember getting so angry with my cheerleading coach. With my cheerleading coach, I got so angry with her. I don't even know why. I couldn't even tell you why. But I was close with her. And I just think that was just part of my development was she didn't do anything. When I think back on it, I don't remember why I felt so upset with her. So if you're watching this out there, I'm sorry. I was only in 7th grade. Michael said, yeah, I did show the house. And I did show the video. And if you want to back up the live stream, you can back up a live stream. Yeah, it was at the neighbor's house of Celeste's parents. Susan said, what? She didn't disassemble herself and put her in the trunk. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. But I guess putting somebody in the trunk of a car is a misdemeanor in California, you guys, with a $1,000 fine, which is just absolutely egregious. So if you have an underage minor that's not even in your care, that just is at your house inappropriately, and something goes wrong, I guess it's okay. It's absolutely fine to put this underage minor, not call the police, not call 911, not try to get help, but it's absolutely fine to just park her and take her apart, put her in plastic bags and put her in the trunk. That's all fine and dandy. $1,000 fine and you walk away scot-free. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous. It is sad. If you have any information, this is my email. You can email me at tips4Jessica. My name is Jessica @outlook.com. Bernice, thank you so much for joining me. Says, I think the music industry is setting up David because he was making lots of money without them. And TMZ knows. I don't think so. Please don't bring any type of people's religion into it. We just really try. I want everybody to feel comfortable, and even if that's, please be careful with your words. Yeah, and I was just saying, please be careful with your words, and please let's not. I mean, it could be that the music industry was upset with David. That could very well be. That could be true. But it doesn't have anything to do with somebody's religion. So I don't want to bring that into it. Shelley says, was that video TMZ has her parents' house? It was at her parents' next door neighbor's house. So for those of you that are just joining me, like, what is she talking about? Let me just pull this up and take this down. Put this up. I'm not going to play the audio. I'm just going to continue to talk, but I will play this. So this is the video. And this is from TMZ. And you can see this is Celeste right here. The video is somewhat distorted because obviously you can see the house looks like it's bent too. But it is just, a security camera footage. But this does show that she, it changes the timeline. It flips everything that we thought we knew about this case on its head. Planet Luna said, I really hope justice is served here. This says TMZ dropped a new video of David's parents' house being swatted. All right, let me pull that up. Okay, I got it. Okay. Let's go through this together. Take this down. All right, so breaking news. Police rushed to the parents' home for a swatting call. Okay, so they are swatted. Let's see if I can get this to play. Okay, so this almost sounds like it was somebody harassing David's parents. Please, let's not send any negativity to anyone. His parents haven't done anything, but the police swatted the house. So it wasn't a search warrant served on the house. They were, somebody reported that there was somebody that was no longer alive inside this house. Okay, so those are David's parents, and the police got a swatted call. So of course they're responding. They think they've got told that there was a gunshot and somebody was dead. And the police have to follow this up, because if that did happen and somebody just opened the door and said, nope, didn't happen, and closed the door, well, they do have to follow it up. They do need to find out what's going on and just make sure that it didn't happen, and that, it's not the perpetrator inside holding somebody at gunpoint behind the door or something. Okay, so what they're doing is they're having somebody call from inside the house to verify that this did not happen, that this was just somebody harassing David's parents, which is just so awful because they haven't done anything. And the police probably don't know anything about the fact that this is David's parents, or that this, when they're responding to this, they wouldn't know, oh, this is that pop star. They're not going to have that backstory. They're not going to know that. They're just responding to, somebody saying that there was a gunshot and somebody was done away with. And the last time we saw David's mother, she was at a pawn shop and she had come out with a brochure for a pew pew, right? Um, and so she didn't get it, but there's probably a waiting period, so she, probably had to go through a background check. Well, now we can see why. It sounds like they were being harassed and are being harassed, which is really upsetting. So they're scared now. The parents are scared. Is there somebody it's like something happened on our property that we don't know about? I mean, you could tell that his parents have no idea what's going on, and they're probably really, really scared. So nobody should be bothering anybody. I just want to say that. I feel so bad for the parents. I mean, this is what somebody did is just that's so awful. I'm going to just back it up and just play it one more time. And the police have to be nervous anytime it's involving, a pew pew or something like that. They have to be, somewhat afraid that there's somebody inside the house. So somebody probably thought this was like somehow funny or okay to do to these people, and it's just absolutely not okay. This isn't funny. It's not a good. It's not a nice thing to do, and these people are his parents, but there's been no information that they have done anything wrong. So this just really bothers me that somebody would do something like this. It's just so inappropriate. Let's continue on. So police are scared. They're arriving at the property. They, think there's, anytime you hear there's a gun involved, they're not wearing Kevlar vests or anything like that. They're just genuinely scared. Now, we were wondering why this mom would have been buying a pew pew at the pawn store, and there was probably a waiting period. Well, now we have a better idea. It sounds like they were being harassed. This is really like next level evil to be doing this to these two people. So for all the police know, there could be somebody standing behind them with a pew pew pointed at them. They just need to make sure they're okay. So she's so scared, she's calling 911 because she doesn't know this is David's mother. She doesn't know what's going on either. So she's scared that these are people dressed up like the police coming to her door. That this, she doesn't know really for sure who's at the door. For all she knows, this is somebody wearing, you got some costumes and coming to the door, trying to make, get entrance to their house. She's genuinely afraid, and, and rightfully so. So what David's mom is doing and David's father is doing is they're calling 911 to confirm that these are actually law enforcement officers at their house. And if you look at the house, I'm going to back it up. You can see there's security camera. There's a camera right there at the house. There's a security camera right there at the house. So the police are scared when they come up because they think there's somebody that's, got a pew pew that's inside the house. They, could be holding these two people hostage. They don't know. Uh, the David's parents are absolutely terrified because they know they didn't call anyone, and these people could be people dressed in costumes, coming to their house. So, it's just really a scary situation all around. Um, and I think calling 911 was the smart thing to do, to just confirm that these were actually law enforcement officers. So somebody out of state called this in just to harass these poor people. This is so wrong on so many levels, you guys. So now she's, frightened that there could be somebody out there on the property that, use their VPN to call this in from using an out of state phone line, but on the property getting access to their VPN. But it could have also been done remotely. And she's upset because what she's saying is, if I really do have an emergency, they're not going to believe me because of, incidences like this. And the police are reassuring her, if you do have an emergency, they are going to be there. They will come. Because she's now afraid, that because this was called in and this was, somebody perpetrating a hoax on them and on law enforcement, that, she's afraid that, okay, well, if I do have a problem and somebody, obviously somebody is bothering them, that they won't come then. But the law enforcement is telling her, yes, we will. If you call 911, we will be here. I hope they catch who did this, because this is just so wrong on so many different levels. So thank you so much for telling me that this was happening. Really, really appreciate that. Let me move myself over, because that's really disturbing. That is really, really disturbing. Atlanta says, if my kid had a body in his trunk, they are not welcome back home. Just saying. Yeah, and we don't, and we don't know what they think. We don't know what they've been told. This is their son, so they're probably, in disbelief is what I would think would be the initial reaction. But nobody should be bothering them. Cabling says bounty hunters do exactly what's happening. But I think that was law enforcement. I don't think that was bounty hunters. Let me find out. Let me make this smaller. Let's see what's going on here. Let me take this down and put this back up. Let's go through this together and let's just see what the gist is. Okay. So this is how TMZ is explaining it. They said the body cam shows officers, so it's not bounty hunters. These are, but she didn't know, the mother and the father, they didn't know who these this was law enforcement. It shows police walking up to David's parent. Oh, I guess it's a home of David's, but I thought it was the parents' house. With guns drawn on September 18th after a 911 caller claimed they heard shots fired outside the home. Someone was screaming and someone had been done away with. The police knocked and it was the singer's parents who answered, looking stunned and very, very confused. You can also hear the audio captured by the body cam. David's mom telling the police that there are 4 people who live in the house and that her daughter and son are upstairs. So there are kids in the house. Remember, David has a little sister. He has a younger brother too. And so David was not even there. Or if he was there, his parents didn't mention him. David's dad can be heard repeatedly saying someone is messing with us. His mom is then concerned that somebody might be on the property, and the police assure them that they will check the property before they leave. According to the report, officers stuck around for less than 20 minutes before leaving. No incident report was filed by the police, so it was just clearly a swatting prank. Oof. And then they talk about this case. They say that David has gone radio silent, canceling the rest of his U.S. tours on September 19th and putting his deluxe album Rollout Withered on hold. He has not been seen in public since ending his tour and moving out of the Hollywoods home where detectives executed a search warrant. So somebody could have also been logged into the parents' security cameras. That's also possible. People can have technology. They can do stuff like that. And been watching it, that this was something that they wanted to see if David was at the house or not. And that's really scary too, because nobody should be bothering anybody. Atlanta says, if he's not back home, that's horrific for the parents to have a police raid. Yeah, I mean, either way, nobody should be bothering his parents. David hasn't been charged with anything yet, although, a lot of people are really concerned. Parents' only option was to put her in those camps for kids. Oh, to keep her from running away, those like discovery type camps. I hope they're held accountable if they find out who called it in. I hope so too. I hope they find out who called it in, and I hope they're held accountable. Please give this a thumbs up if you're just joining me. Let YouTube know I'm doing a responsible job covering this case. Cabling says, my parents went through this bounty hunters late at night, scaring them to their core, looking for my brother, locking gates to the property, and pretending to be law enforcement. Wow. That's really, really scary. That is really, really scary. Yeah, Michael, leave things alone. I'm so sorry that your family went through that. Deanna says the police need to find out who did that. Ashley says the whole case doesn't sit right with me. She was a child at the end of the day, and people need to be held accountable. I 100% agree with this comment. Ashley, thank you so much. I agree. It doesn't sit right with me either. And I think that the idea that this could be characterized as a misdemeanor with a $1,000 fine is just absolutely not acceptable. Even if this turns out to be medication related, she didn't put herself into bags inside the trunk and park herself down the block. Michael's asking people to like, share, and subscribe. Hey, Bren. Bren said he became the most successful artist without a chart hit. And now he broke the record, excuse the pun, for short-lived success, surpassing even lottery winners. Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah, and some people feel like, he was set up because he was, doing this and, wasn't signed with one of the big record labels. I don't know. I can't see somebody doing something like that, that diabolical. I just can't imagine that somebody would do something like that. It's just, beyond the pale to me. I do want to say thank you to our producers, Njaz, Sasha Angel, George Brown, Michael L. Cole, and Christy Ballantyne. And thank you also to our channel members. Let me turn this off for a second, and then I'll turn the comments back on. We're not done. I just do want to thank I don't want to get all the way to the end, and I got sidetracked with the breaking news of the swatting footage. If you're just joining us, back the chat up. You could back up the live stream, back up the live stream and watch the footage. It's really, really scary what just went down. This reportedly happened on September the 18th, that police were called out to his parents' home, which is in Texas. They are shown swarming David's family's home. So it's not David's personal house. This is his parents' house where he has younger siblings living, which is why this is just so inappropriate. There are, kids living in the house. And you could hear the audio captured by the body cam, and his parents are bewildered. They don't know what's going on. They don't know what happened. And you can hear David's dad repeatedly saying that someone is messing with us. Someone is messing with us. And his mom's concerned, and rightfully so, that someone's on their property. So I think this explains why we got that image. Let me pull that up for you guys, of his mom at the pawn store. Let's look at the date on that and see if this lines up. Okay. Let's see if this lines up with this incident, and maybe this explains, because we were like, oh wow, what's going on? Why does she need it? Well, maybe she really does need it. Let me turn oh, I almost forgot too. I want to just do thank yous for super thanks and coffee gratitude to Njaz, Green Eyes Sparkle, and also gifted channel memberships to Njaz and Njaz. Thank you so much. That is so kind of you. Okay, so let's go through this and look at this now. Go back and look at this, and let's put the pieces together on this, because is this why? And let me turn the comments back on. If you guys could drop me a comment right now, I just want to make sure it is popping up on the screen, and that I'm not blocking it with anything. Can you guys just say hello really quick? Let me see if I could just do one. Yeah, it's okay. You guys are back. All right, so you guys can drop me a comment. It will appear on camera now. Okay, so here he goes. So this came out on September the 26th. Okay, so this incident happened on the 18th. This is probably why she went. I just wanted to see what the date was. And for those of you like, what is she talking about? This is his mom. She's seen leaving a Texas gun store holding an AR-15 manual. She wasn't taking any chances. She was seen photographed leaving the Tomball pawn and jewelry with an unknown male who looks like a bodyguard. Now we know why she has a bodyguard. We were wondering, why does she need a bodyguard? Well, now we know. Colleen is seen reading through this manual for this particular pew as published in the Daily Mail. It's favored by police. She wore a t-shirt that said "send nudes." Some people thought that was weird, but it's noodles. It's a noodle shirt. So I just want to put that out there. It's the first time she was seen in public since, Celeste was found in the trunk of David's car. And so this explains why she was at the store buying that. We all wondered, like, what's going on? Is somebody bothering her? Well, now we know somebody was bothering her. Somebody absolutely was bothering her. So these are his parents, and they haven't done anything wrong. So please, let's all support not harassing or bothering anybody. I think we can all agree on that. Thank you so much, Incognita, for the Euro $1.19 super sticker. That is so kind of you. Thank you very, very much. Thank you so much. And thank you, the Witch Snake, for the $4.99 super sticker. Thank you so, so much. I am very, very grateful. Much appreciated. Thank you so much, you guys. That's very kind of you. I want to take some more comments. Talk Jury to Me says his shirt off has different meanings, and regardless, it's talking about noodles. It is very strange. I mean, I'm not saying it's not weird, but I just want to just urge caution when it comes to his parents. You know, they didn't have they didn't do anything. There's been no evidence that, that they've done anything wrong, and they deserve to be safe. Everybody deserves to be safe. And I know passions get heated, but nobody should be bothering anyone, especially not something like that, because doing that to somebody's house, something can go wrong like that. Because when police come up on a house after they're being told that somebody was done away with using a pew-pew, they're going to be scared. They're going to be scared when they're coming up on the property, because they think that there could be somebody that's very dangerous and that could do away with them, right? So they're going to arrive at the property afraid already. So they're coming into it already scared. And then you've got the bewildered homeowners that don't know what's going on. And, but police don't know. For all they know, there's somebody standing behind them, just, holding them hostage, basically. So, yeah, I agree with you, Incognito. Thank you so much, Talk Jury to Me. Ashleigh said the parents can't help what their grown child may or may not have done. Exactly. It's not their fault. They shouldn't be messed with. The situation is bad enough for them. Agreed. 100%. Michael is one of our head mods along with Enjas. She says, thank you. Veronica said, I feel sorry for his parents. Who would want to even think your son might be involved in something like this? I agree. Happy Thursday to you, Kevin. Thank you for being here. Planet Luna agrees. Enjas says, thank you, Incognito. Talk Jury says, agrees. Incognito said, this is all out of hand with the current levels of hideous, against other people. Absolutely right. So true. And Incognito says, and Jazz, missed you. I've been seriously unwell. I hope you feel better. I'm so sorry to hear that you've been unwell. Michael said, he's going to start dinner. Okay, thank you so much, Michael, for modding today. The mods are amazing. I agree. If you're modding, please drop me a comment right now so I can shout you out. Michael is modding today. Who else is modding today? Drop me a comment so I can just say thank you to you. Thank you to all of our mods and our channel members. You guys are absolutely amazing. And Njaz is our head mod. And she's right here. And I did give out a couple of wrenches, and I want to give out a couple of more wrenches. So if you would like to be a mod, please let me know. This is Njaz. Oh, sorry to hear this, Incognito. Hope you're feeling better now. Ashleigh said, kind of like the Kohlberger parents. I couldn't help but feel bad for them to a certain extent. Yeah, and they didn't have anything like this happen to them. But yeah, you're right. I mean, nobody should be bothering anybody. When somebody commits a crime, it affects many more people than just the victim. So true. So true. Incognito said, Ireland here this week. We have oh, that's awful. I'm so sorry. Susan, thank you so much for modding today. Kevin wants a wrench. Just let me see if I can grab you really quick, Kevin. If you would like to be a mod, tell me right now and I will add you. Let me just switch screens for myself personally, and I will add a couple of mods right now while we're talking, because I'm going to be going live tomorrow, and we do need help. So let me just pull this up. I need to pull this up on YouTube for myself and just see who's in here. So because I can't give it out through StreamYard, I have to give it out through YouTube. So let me just see who's willing to mod. If you're willing to mod, drop me a comment right now. Let me know. So that I can give you a wrench for tomorrow. There it is. Okay, I got it. All right. So, and then I'm just going to tell you if you got a. All right. So let's see who's willing to mod. Kevin said he would. Okay, I'm going to give you a wrench. I'm adding you as a moderator, Kevin. Planet Luna would like to mod. I'm adding you. Who else said they would like to mod? Incognito said they would help. Okay, great. Let me add you. Cabling, I need a wrench. How we learn the modding is we kind of, what you do is you greet people when they come into the chat, you at them and you say hello. And then if they use words that are inappropriate, you just simply delete the comment. And that's pretty much, Atlanta Foodie says, is willing to mod. Okay, let me give you a wrench. Make another comment after I've said I've given you a wrench, and just make sure your wrench is showing up. Is there anyone else that wants to mod that doesn't have a wrench right now? Make a comment if I just said I was giving you one, and make sure that you did get your wrench, because I don't want to. Cabling, did you get a wrench? I have you as a moderator. Can you just comment so I can see? Incognito, did you get your wrench? I added you. Atlanta Foodie, let me just. You should also have a wrench. Just comment. Let's make sure you have your wrenches. So Incognito, Planet Luna, Kevin Nin, Incognito. Okay, and Jazz. This is the head mods, and Tanya also got a wrench. So the head mods are Njaz, and Michael. So those are the two head mods. So everybody that wanted to mod should have one. If you didn't get one, and Atlanta Foodie got a wrench. Okay, great. So you should have a wrench right next to your name now if you were just added as a mod. So thank you so much. I'm so glad that you guys are modding. And we're going to go live tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern time again. And if you would like to be added as a mod, drop me a comment in the comment section below and let me know that. And I will add you. And Holly's here. Thank you so much for modding today, Holly, coming in at giving a thumbs up there and said head mods in charge. Yeah. We have Michael and Njaz. This is Njaz, who have been with the channel for a number of years. And so if you have any questions or you have any problems and you're a brand new mod, just reach out in the chat to Njaz. She's always, or Michael, they're always willing to help. I'm so glad to have you as part of the Reporter Room family. So yeah, we have head mods, Michael and Njaz, that both do it. And they will help you out if you're a brand new mod and you're like, what am I supposed to do? I don't know. This way you could know what happened. All right, guys. Well, I think I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for coming by to spend a little bit of time with me. If you haven't subscribed, it's free and it helps me out a lot. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern time. I will go live earlier if there's breaking news. So make sure you have the notification button turned on too, in case there's breaking news in this case. And I'll see you tomorrow at 6 p.m.